Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Homeopathy Simplified podcast. And if you haven't met me yet, my name is Jonathan DeMonte, and I first discovered homeopathy from my father in the 1960s. His name was John DeMonte, and he was one of the key teachers in homeopathy's resurgence in Europe during the 60s and 70s. I was fortunate to study homeopathy through his students, and I feel a very strong connection to his career. I also became a Bowen therapist and developed a practice focusing on chronic pain and disease. After 27 years of practice, I've come full circle and I want to share my own knowledge. I've made a purpose of teaching a course that is the one I wished I'd had in the very beginning of my career. A course created to make the complex simple and shine a path through a forest of ideas and misconceptions about homeopathy. And in this episode, we're going to talk about when homeopathy goes bad. So this is episode 4, and whether you're a kitchen table prescriber or a medical practitioner or a student of homeopathy, in this episode I'll give you some sense of the time frame for learning how to use and manage homeopathic medicine while things go wrong. So first of all, let's define what is bad and why this is such an important idea in homeopathy. Bad, in the dictionary, can be defined as failing to reach an acceptable standard, being injurious or harmful, or incorrect and faulty amongst its many definitions. So this is such an important idea for homeopaths, as bad isn't always a wrong outcome, so quoted by Johnny Appleseed. And it might be that the direction of a healing response does get worse, hence bad, in some manner, or prior to getting better, it got bad. It might be that the cough, which was verging on pneumonia, has gotten better and the symptoms are now in the sinuses. And this might be, for the casual observer, appearing worse, but it is actually a less life-threatening state or condition to have the lungs recover and the sinuses be worse. So in homeopathy, we see many responses that are possible. And these are 3 of the main ones. After the remedy, we either get better, we either are the same, or we can get worse. And in what ways in particular are the important things to observe? In other words, what do we observe being better, same, or worse? Sometimes it's a mix. It will probably surprise you as to how important the variables are to the homeopathic healing approach. So, in other words, bad could be getting worse. The chief complaint is better, but a minor symptom could be worse, or there's no change in anything. And worse for a short time and then better, or worse for a long time and not better. And so these are so many variables. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But let's talk about these 3 main ones to get a sense of what you do when these occur. So if you give a remedy and the patient gets better, what do? You wait, because why are you going to give more of the same remedy? I always give the example to a patient that if the headache was treated by paracetamol, ibuprofen, or any other anti-inflammatory medicine, if it was better, you wouldn't keep taking the medicine. And it's the same in homeopathy. If you get better, why would you repeat the remedy? So when you read on a bottle of homeopathic medicine, 5 globules 3 times a day, it's just wrong. And in fact, I imagine that the companies that make the remedies are forced to make some sort of direction of use to put on the label by the governments that regulate them. So many times there is only a perfect outcome. And this is true. Sometimes we just see this happening, where the chief complaint and the other symptoms are all better. But we still need to be diligent and prudent with the use of the remedy, and therefore waiting is the advisable option. I often hear how homeopaths or other practitioners using homeopathy will prescribe many remedies in short succession. This is usually due to not following the case properly in the first place. and not taking the symptoms well, prescribing incorrectly and then re-prescribing on poor information. I've done this too, and it's an easy trap to fall into. So our lesson to learn today is that waiting is usually the answer. This is especially so if symptoms are the same. And, there are three distinct questions to ask yourself when the patient feels the same after the remedy. And those are, how was the remedy taken? Was it taken properly? And were other medicines taken at the same time, or other treatments? You want to review the symptoms that were used to choose the remedy. So did you choose the right symptoms for the remedy? Are those symptoms that you chose absolutely true of the case? Then you need to review the choice of the remedy. And in that instance, we're either going to wait because the remedy may be correct and we need to wait longer for its action to have effect, or we're going to re-prescribe. But very seldom do we repeat when no effect has been felt by the patient. And then, of course, we come to the bad, when things are worse. So in this instance, we really do need to be careful because it's very easy to make worse and lose sight of what were the original symptoms you were treating. Because not only do those symptoms potentially get worse, but other new symptoms can arise. So you have to check in what way the symptoms are worse and for how long have they been worse. If the aggravation of those symptoms has passed, fine, and are they the same or better following the aggravation? If all the symptoms were worse, but they've been better in the past few days, we would wait. If the symptoms are worse and not better, we'd consider re-prescribing, especially if the patient is in a bad state. However, if they're in a good state, i.e. mentally or emotionally, physically strong, not really worse because of the remedy, we should really wait a little longer and keep in mind what symptoms are really more prominent when we revisit the picture of the remedy. So this is really, really important. You may not be on the wrong track, but you have to check. And then if you are on the wrong track, be sure that you don't make another mistake by prescribing on some symptoms that have newly arisen as a result of the remedy. Wait until those pass, then take the case. So this all gets very complicated. And this is all a chart from The Science of Homeopathy, written by George Vitolkos in the 70s. And in it, he outlines the many different nuanced responses that a remedy could have. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll give you the moment to screenshot them. Or if you want to, send me a message and I'll send you the list. Or even better, buy the book, The Science of Homeopathy. You can usually buy it in used bookstores. It's a very, very popular book. And in it, you get a sense of how nuanced things are. So let me take one example here. So the patient is worse and they've had a steady worsening of symptoms. They say, I am much worse. They've either they stopped taking allopathic drug, or the remedy is not close enough, or other factors may be involved. A more serious condition might be manifesting. So if the case, Vitolkos recommends in this case, if it's not serious in the aggravation, wait until more clear. And if bad, choose a new remedy quickly, because you need to address these acute symptoms that are manifesting, or palliate the symptoms with another remedy. And if the same remedy picture, wait for sure. So, there's many nuances. Here's something else. Let's look at the bottom line here. No aggravation. The chief complaint is better. Nothing else is manifest. No new symptoms. And the patient says, I'm better, but not really better. I'm still not well. So you've found in that instance, you've found a close remedy, but not the exact one. The remedy has decreased the level of health. So in fact, even though the symptoms are treated, you haven't helped their vital health. So here you have to retake the case, find a better remedy, and if they don't have an idea of what to find, then you choose a new remedy after waiting for clearer symptoms to manifest. So you can see in homeopathy that there's a lot of waiting in the homeopathic process. And it's never wrong to wait. When in doubt, wait. Don't repeat your remedy. Wait until you're sure it's the right one. I mean, I've gone backwards and forwards with patients many times over. Just recently with a family that I treat, a medicine was used and it interrupted the course of the homeopathic remedy. And it created a backwards direction where the remedies that were given 1, 2, 3 in succession needed to be given 3, 2, 1 to undo that interruption for the case. And it was very difficult to untangle. So always be clear. Always trust that homeopathy, if it's the right remedy, will have an effect. There's something else I want to mention again is that if you would like to get that guide to 22 back remedies, either send me a message at jd@homeopathysimplified.com or go to the link at the bottom of this, the notes of this episode. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.